Hey guys, if you still like us after listening to this podcast, do us a favor and share this with a friend of yours or a family member. Maybe not your mom or dad, but somebody who you think will still like us after listening to it. Also, it'd be great if you can give us a like on Facebook or write a nice comment about us on iTunes so more people can share the love and conquer their shame.
Okay, so this is a nightmare I may not be ready to live through.
I started getting crushes on boys.
Real embarrassed about this.
My mouth gets the best of me pretty much all the time.
Okay, I'm just like, all right.
There we go.
All right, guys, welcome back to the We Still Like You podcast.
Select stories from our live show
Here in Chicago, Illinois. If this is your first episode with us, We Still Like You is a show based around celebrating your shame.
When I was a teenager, we played Christian parody songs in service to the Lord. They were not supposed to be funny. Twisted Sister's classic, I Want to Rock. I cleverly changed the words to I Want to Pray. And that's a song I played in my church.
We get people together and we have them tell their stories of things that make them feel weird at night.
Yeah, the stuff that keeps you up and you regret every day. We have people tell those stories in front of groups of strangers and friends, and then no matter what happens in this story, the audience will raise a glass and say, "We still like you."
We still like you. Standing next to me here today is Mr. Tyler Snodgrass.
Thank you. And standing next to me is Dan Sheehan. We are two of the producers.
And today we've got a fun story. We still like Jesus.
We still like you, Jesus.
That's what we're all about today. People with that classic Christian upbringing and all the trappings that entails.
Definitely. I can say I grew up quite religious, and so I have a lot of Jesus-inspired shame, you might say. That's a popular topic in my own stories on the show.
What do you want to do with your life?
I want to pray!
Pray!
I want to pray!
Pray!
I want to pray!
Well, for a very chill guy, Jesus was all about shame.
I don't know if he was about shame. I think
church is about shame.
Maybe church goers are all about shame. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to generalize churchgoers.
It's like
either,
how Fish fans aren't as cool as the band Fish. If we're gonna bring it to a modern day,
I've got some Fish albums. I do not want to go to a Fish concert.
Yeah,
that's a good enough example, I think. All I do with my family at family reunions is try to not bring up whether or not I'm going to church actively.
Oh yeah, that should be an Olympic event. Like trying to do you have a church nearby? No. I try and do bits with my family. I'm like, well, I worship a hedonistic bird god now, and
then you haven't always done.
Yeah,
that.
well, Kevin's been a part of my life for a long time.
Kevin's the bird's name.
Got to give him a relatable name. All right, but yeah, we are talking about being brought up in a religious environment and some of the things that can cause you to do when you have that mindset in your formative years.
Kind of realizing the absurdity of certain things you did later on in life, and we've got a good collection of stories today.
Our first one for you is from Audrey Jonas. She was one of our first submissions, actually, that we took.
Yeah,
we started opening up the email to submissions.
And we do take submissions, so if you live in Chicago, or if you want to bring We Still Like You to your town, you can submit to us at westilllikeyou@gmail.com. Just tell us what your story's like, tell us why you're ashamed, and we definitely book based on submission, too.
All right, well, let's go on a trip to camp with Audrey Jonas, everybody.
Okay, so your next performer, she's a wonderful writer. You're going to love her. Please give it up for Audrey Jonas. Keep it going.
My next door neighbor, Joanna, is a good friend of mine, and her mom says to my mom, does Audrey want to go to camp this summer? And my mom's eyes lit up because I was like a really kind of chubby little kid. And my mom was like, yeah, that sounds great. I asked Joanna about the food, obviously. And she was like, it's a cafeteria, which means a buffet. I was like, oh yeah. Oh, I'm going there. So my mom is not from this country. She's from Mexico, and sometimes when your parent is an immigrant, they don't ask the right questions, like, what is the ACT? Or is this illegal in this country? And in my mom's case, she forgot to ask Joanna's mom, is this a camp run by Christian fundamentalists? And it was. So I packed my Beanie Babies and I went to Jesus camp. Has anyone seen that documentary? Yeah. I literally went to that camp. Oh! Yeah, on accident. So I go to Jesus camp, and the buffet is amazing. It's like powdered eggs. Have you guys ever had those? Jimmy Dean's sausage, and then like spaghetti and meatballs. It was like all about quantity. And so, there's like normal camp stuff, arts and crafts, canoeing, whatever, all of those other things. But then you also, at Jesus camp, you go to church 2 times a day, once in the morning and once at night. And church is fucking crazy because everyone is so into it except me. Because I am not a Pentecostal, and I accidentally got here. So everyone is like, there's like a rock band, and everyone has a Bible that they've heavily annotated with a lot of circled passages and stuff. I'm so unprepared. I have never felt more out of place in my life, but everyone is praying, and I'm just thinking about the buffet and trying to not wear a bathing suit because I'm fat. So in Pentecostal religion, one of the rites of passage is that the Holy Spirit comes inside of you, which is not funny to me in 6th grade, but is really funny to me in 24th grade or whatever I'm in. So the Holy Spirit comes inside of you and makes you speak in tongues. So you have your own language with God or Christ Jesus. I don't know. And so a lot of kids already spoke in tongues. I didn't already speak in tongues because it's not real. And what happens is everyone gets together in this auditorium on the last night, and they close the doors and no one leaves. It's and it's hot and it's sweaty, and it's like ZBT frat party, but there's no jungle juice, and it's horrible, and it's loud, and everyone puts their hands on you, and everyone speaks in their tongues, and everyone's tongue sounds different. And some people's tongues sound like that really, really politically incorrect thing that you do when you're trying to be like an Indian, and you're like, oh. And then some people's tongues legitimately sound like another language, and some people's tongues sound like parcel tongue, which is a language that I thought I could speak. And it's crazy, and everyone has their hands on me, and everyone is speaking in tongues, and I'm fucking totally freaked out because this is not real at all. And I can't leave until I speak in tongues. And so I'm sitting there, and I close my eyes, and I clench my fist, and I start speaking in tongues, and I'm scatting. And then I catch myself, and I'm like, stop, shut up, Betty. Everyone is crying, and everyone is we're so proud of you. And I walk out of this, and I'm walking out of this auditorium, and I'm out of breath and covered in sweat, and I'm so upset. And then I was brainwashed in Jesus camp, so I'm the Holy Spirit knows that I faked it, and is mad, and Jesus is pissed, and I disappointed everyone here. And I get out of this auditorium, and it's this beautiful summer night, and I pee my pants. And I run to the lake, and my crotch is heavy because it's wet, and I'm running to the lake, and I sprint to the lake, and I get in like waist deep, and the lifeguard like yells at me to get out, and I get out, but it's fine because like all of me is wet, right? And no one can tell I peed my pants, and I just started crying. The end.
We still like you!
Ski babu double dub. Ski babu double dub. Ski babu double dub. Audrey Jonas, everybody. Keep it going.
Well, that was Audrey Jonas, everybody. She was one of our first submissions to the We Still Like You email, and if you'd like to tell a story just like she did, you can hit us up at westilllikeyou@gmail.com.
Just tell us what your story is, a short synopsis, and then why it is so shameful for you, and you might be able to be on the live show with us. I didn't get a sex talk. About a year ago, I asked my mom if she would give me the sex talk now, and she declined. I think she knew it was a trap, and then I just wanted to make fun of her. But I don't know. Not having the sex talk meant that I was getting like slang from my classmates and like proper abstinence-based sex education at the same time. So I was learning like I'm getting a lot of info that's kind of conflicting.
I had the same thing where I was like, I had like the friends I made when I was very little, like we all kind of were like very innocent little kids. And my friend Chris would say to me, he'd be like, well, sex, I think, is when two frogs have a baby. And I was like, it seems oddly specific, but that's good to know.
Just frogs.
And
then
then
the Monopoly.
And this kid Jimmy one time said, yeah, if after sex she doesn't give you a blowjob, the baby comes out retarded. Which was like,
what?
Like the fact that imagine that coming out of a fifth grader's mouth and then still believing in any kind of good in the world. Because this is fifth grade and that's what this kid believes.
You know, on a related note, we got to bring up this next storyteller, one of my favorite comedians in the city.
Oh, he's so great. He's such a nice boy.
His name is Cameron Gilette. You can catch him all over town, and this is his story.
So you guys, put your hands together, make some claps, make some mouth sounds for Cameron Gilette!
Hey guys. Hey, thank you so much. My stories are very much private shame. Not shame that, I was ashamed in front of other people. It's shame that I carried with me until I became an adult who tells groups of strangers about them. Okay, so first, when I first hit puberty, I think this is probably pretty usual. I was a very lonely kid, and the idea of sex was mind-blowing to me. I couldn't even fathom how sex to me was I viewed it in the way the most gross fetish people view their shit that they can never do because it involves murdering millions of people. Sex to me was the most extreme possible thing, and the idea of really putting my penis inside of a vagina was so overwhelming. I was a lonely freak for a while because girls didn't talk to me. No, but I remember masturbating early on was very it was all about, for me, making the idea of sex more real to me when I was trying to get into a mode tricking myself into being I'm really having sex. And I had never really been close to sex. And my parents, I grew up very Christian. I'll talk about that more later. But I went to church. My parents forced me to go to church every Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights. We had to go to church very often on Sunday nights too. Constantly going to church. And I had friends at school. I had some friends that liked playing the same video games and like nerdy friends. And at church, it was, to put it in the terms I thought of it then, it was like very preppy. Like all the preppy kids were cool at church, and yeah, fuck them, right? Can I get a fuck the preppy kids? Fuck the preppy kids! All right. There's this one time at church where I was walking behind a bunch of my friends who were all talking in a circle, and Jonathan Street was standing right here and talking to a bunch of kids around him, and they were discussing who's going to go into which car to go to the next place we were going to. Who's going to go into the mom's car and who's going to get in the dad's car. And I walked up behind everybody, and then Jonathan Street goes, yeah, just not have Cameron in our car. He's just fucking weird, and he's just going to sit there, and you're going to try to say shit. And he didn't say shit. I'm paraphrasing. We're just going to try to say things, and he's just going to stare at you. He's weird. He didn't say any of these cuss words. I'm just getting into his character, because that's how he acted. And I was behind him, and everyone he was talking to looked at me and registered the embarrassment of hearing him say, "Don't include Cameron," but didn't say anything. Just kind of looked at me like, "Oh yeah." And I stood there, and he was like looking at people, and they were kind of nodding, and I just kind of walked away. And after that moment, I never went to church again. Here's the thing. I was still forced to go to church by my parents. Anytime we would go to church and it would come to that moment where we were separating to, like, they would go to the adult service and I would go to the kids service, I would go sit in the bathroom for about 2 hours until all the services were over, and then I would go meet back up with them afterwards. So it was like so many hours of my childhood life was spent just sitting in a bathroom, just don't want to be in there, so I'm gonna just be in here. It was incredibly lonely. I'm like a loneliness virtuoso after that. This was when I was learning to masturbate and all that too, and trying to make sex more real. So, maintain your empathy from that sorrowful thing. One day I was sitting in the bathroom in church upstairs in Gardendale's First Baptist, and I thought, like, I want to masturbate in here, and I walked out of the bathroom into just the immediately surrounding hallways and trying to find something to masturbate to. They had shelves of pamphlets lining a lot of the walls in Gardendale's First Baptist. These multiple shelves of pamphlets, and I was just looking through all the pamphlets, trying to find one with like a pretty girl on it that I could just masturbate to. There was like nothing, barely anything in there, like nothing. No good J.O. material, Gardendale's First Baptist. It was all like ladies like, oh, kids in third world countries need Jesus and then they'll have food or something. I found one pamphlet that had a pretty girl on the cover. It was the only one, I swear to God. So I took it. Why I started looking through the pamphlets was I had an idea about how to make sex more real, how to more really create the feeling that I was really close to someone and having sex with someone, was to take like a pretty girl's face and kind of using toilet paper tie it to my face. So her face was right here. So it was like we were really like making love. More like making love than And the title at the top of the pamphlet was She Said Yes. And this was a pamphlet about how during the Columbine shootings, there was a moment when the shooters started lining up people and asking them, "Are you a Christian?" And if they answered yes, they would. And I guess most people answered no, so that was how they decided to shoot people or whatever. So apparently this was a girl who said, "Yes, I'm a Christian," and then got shot in the face. And it was the only pretty girl in the whole pamphlet shelf. And yeah, I jacked off super hard. And man, I think that about covers it.
Oh, guys, keep it going for Cam Gilette.
No one ever walked in while I was jerking off. One time I was in there. I remember one time I was in there and because I'd spent hours in that bathroom. One time I was in there and I heard someone walk into the bathroom, and I for some reason got down on the floor and looked to be like, who's coming in the bathroom? But it was a kid. It was a little kid that was so short he saw me looking at him, and he said, "Are you hiding from somebody?" And I don't remember what I said back, but I remember that I felt, yes, I'm hiding from everybody. Yeah.
We have no shame!
Hey guys, this is Tyler. This audio might sound a little different because we're recording it last minute. We've decided to add an extra story to this show, so you're getting a bonus. Since we started editing this episode, we got another story on the topic from our friend Liz, and it's one of the most powerful stories we have heard yet on We Still Like You. It's actually the only story to ever get a standing ovation. So it's really good, and it's kind of heavy, so just know that. But we love it, and we hope you guys like it too.
Guys, make some noise, really roar for Liz, everybody. Hey guys, not a performer, so I want to say I don't really do this often. It's all written down here. I also want to say that this is a story I've carried around with me for almost 10 years. And I've decided tonight to share with you guys. Only 3 other people know outside of the parties involved, so I want to thank you for listening, because it really means a lot. I think the only thing my parents did right was never take me to church. That's it. I was raised without church, and it was never even discussed in our house. I didn't get curious about religion until I was in high school. As a freshman, I ended up dating a senior who regularly attended a Baptist church. He was my first love or whatever, so when he asked me to go with him, I was very excited to be brought to that part of his life. I ended up liking it a lot. I got really involved, went to youth group on Wednesday nights, sang in the cool praise band, and we dated for only a year until he went off to college, but I kept going to church through the rest of high school. I really did like it, and I've always been concerned about doing the right thing, so it seemed like a good fit for me. Cut to my senior year in high school when I was a bit more outgoing and ended up dating a pretty popular but mysterious guy named I I say mysterious because everyone thought that. He was skinny, athletic, super dreamy, and he could sing, but no one knew a whole lot about his home life other than that his family didn't own TVs. Like weird. His mom wore long skirts and her hair was in a bun at our school choir concerts. His best friend Will didn't even know much about his home life, and they've been friends since middle school. Anyway, never dated anyone until me, and I thought that was cool as shit. We started dating, and I eventually asked him to go to church with me because at that point in my life it was very important to me. He skirted around it, made a few excuses, and then asked me if I would like to go to his church. That's so cool. I said yes and asked where he went. He said, just come and you'll see. And I thought, what a cool, mysterious answer. I'm going to totally have this hunk's baby someday. So the day came. It was a Wednesday night. I knew his mom wore the bun in her hair and the long skirt, so I figured I should too, just out of respect. He said it didn't matter, but I felt that it did. I got into his Jeep and we pulled into a Holiday Inn. Apparently his church rents out the conference rooms there. Whatever, didn't seem too weird. So we go in, all the ladies have the bun heads and long skirts, and I'm so glad I did that too. And mostly everyone was super old. There were 2 or 3 kids there our age and maybe 2 tinier children. The rest were really ancient. We sit down and 2 of the oldest ladies I've ever seen are up front at the podium. They've got really thick Irish accents, or at least I think it was Irish. I have a lot of trouble remembering. They start reading from the Bible. It's a normal Bible, stuff I'd heard before. They also had a hymn book, but no instruments. Everyone sang a cappella. I should mention that I, to this day, have never felt more uncomfortable in my life. I just felt out of place, like a heathen, like they could tell I was wearing jeans earlier in the day. Everyone was really nice though, and like I said, it was a normal Bible. I didn't hear anything weird. It was just really, really odd. There's your red flag number 1. I began to grow unhappy at my regular Baptist church. I slowly ended up not going to that church and gradually started going more frequently with to his. On Sunday mornings, the services were held in different members' households. His family would take 1 week, another family the next, and so on. I asked once what the name of his church was, and he said, it doesn't have one. I thought that was cool, but it was really a couple more red flags. You're all probably catching on way faster than I did. I kept going to these services even after I graduated high school. I went to colleges that were 5 hours apart, but we kept dating, and his mom helped me find people near where I was that held services that I could still go to. I had a few more long skirts in my closet at this point and started wearing them more frequently. I went to college at a very, very sticky spot in my life. My parents were in the middle of a shitty divorce and thus were very involved with only themselves. I had been in college only 3 months when my dad called me. We've never really gotten along, so it was a little weird to get a call from him anyway, even though his firstborn was in college. But this phone call came 2 weeks after my parents' divorce was final. After a little bit of dodging, he told me he called to tell me that he'd gotten remarried over the weekend. Reminder, it was 2 weeks after the divorce was final. Had no clue he was seeing anyone else. A couple weeks went by after that, and my sister, who still lived at home because she's 1 year younger than me, messaged me online to tell me that my mom was not handling it well and was kind of losing it. I know my mother very well, and I knew the only option I had for everyone's sake was to move back home. This time is a big blur to me, and I'm sure my brain is protecting me from it. All I know for sure is when I moved back home and dealt with looking out for my mom, I was hardcore into this nameless church, and somehow, someway, I ended up eventually living with his parents. I have no recollection of how this ended up happening. I just remember living there. Maybe they offered it because they knew my home life at the time was so fucked up. That's my best and most logical guess. While living with them, I attended every service and stopped wearing jeans or makeup. I read from the Bible often and didn't have a TV to watch. His mom never worked, so we were together a lot. I was still in college, but it was so close by that he was around all the time too. I had a cell phone, but I don't remember ever calling home or vice versa. I was happy where I was, probably because it felt safe and not messy. I should note that his family believed heavily in holistic medicine and put me on a strict vitamin regimen that also included iodine drops. the course of living with them, I had lost some weight and probably got down to about 85 pounds. I also couldn't sleep anymore. I had developed a very real and horrible fear of sleeping. Red flags 46 through 57. One Sunday, we all went out to breakfast after a service. I wasn't hungry and was feeling extra nervy for some reason. I shot up from the table and very publicly had my very first panic attack. I've had panic attacks since this, and I almost don't even want to call it that. It was the mother of all panic attacks. I went outside, my arms went purple and curled up against my will. I couldn't breathe, I freaked out, I almost walked into traffic, and then I'm guessing I passed out because when I came to, I was in their car and they were just driving back home. Something happened to me and I had changed after that moment. The world felt very different and heavy, and there were triple meanings to everything everyone said that day. We got back to their house and I just kept crying. I picked up a Bible to try to read it and calm down, but the words didn't look like words anymore. They were squares and circles and triangles. I cried some more. I think they could tell that something was badly wrong because the next thing I knew, my dad was walking through their doorway. They had called him to come take me away. My dad took me to his house that night. I remember thinking that he was for real the devil and that his house were the Twin Towers and it was super unsafe to go inside. I saw rainbows on the walls and ceilings, and TV was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen in my life. And my stepmom had a towel on her head after taking a shower, and I thought she was a gorilla. My dad took me downstairs to play music, which normally would have been great and soothing, but as he played the piano and sang, I saw the ceiling move, and I saw a casket floating in an invisible ocean through the walls. And I had lost my mind. The next day, my dad and my brand new stepmom drove me to a mental hospital about 30 minutes away. On the drive there, I saw a car full of rapping angels. I remember the waiting room because the news was on about Steve Irwin's death. My dad said he knew about it, and I thought that, well, because they knew about it, he must have killed him. My dad killed Steve Irwin. So they admitted me to the hospital, and I lived there for 2 weeks. There's the rest of your red flags. They did a lot of tests and found that the vitamins I was given suppressed my appetite, and the iodine was slowly poisoning me. One vitamin was giving me lots of energy, causing my inability and probably also my fear of sleeping. If you guys haven't guessed it by now, I was accidentally in a cult that almost killed me and broke my brain for a few weeks. This is shameful to me because I should have seen it coming. All the signs were there, every single one of them. Years went by and I was haunted and defined by this experience. I constantly felt stupid and that I should have known better. That it was all my fault for following everyone so blindly. For just wanting to do the right thing that badly. Several years after the fact, I felt ready to emotionally deal with what had happened, so I Googled it. I wanted to know so badly what I had been a part of and if there was anyone else out there who'd at least known what the name was. I found it just one time. I don't remember the name, I'm really sorry. But I do remember some facts. Number one, they used a specific type of brainwashing. I think it was called mind melding or something, but it happens extremely gradually and over a long period of time. Number two, because the majority of their members are so old, they use their younger members to draw vulnerable outsiders in by dating them or taking their virginity. I lost my virginity to an asshole who wanted to keep his cult alive. I didn't find anything out about the vitamins or the iodine or the starvation or any of that. So I think his family might be the exception there, which is lucky me. But while reading these things made me feel less horrible about myself and my choices, I'll never be able to forget what happened to me, and I will never go to church again. Any church. Fuck church.
Guys, so I think I'm brave for talking about, like, you getting mono from ranch dressing. I'm a fucking coward. Guys, Liz is one of my favorite human beings on earth, so this is awesome that she got to share that. Hey, we still love Liz. Fuck church, fuck church, fuck church, fuck church.
And that's our show. That's We Still Like Jesus.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you get a chance, it'd be great if we could get
one of... Oh, man, you want me to take this one?
Yeah, I don't know how to talk.
I can do this. Tyler's indisposed right now, but if you happen to like the show, go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes and maybe tell a friend, because we're a pretty new show, and that helps us. That helps little dudes like us make it in this big old world. So, yeah, thank you again for listening, and have a good day, night. I don't know, man. It's not my business what time it is for you.
We'll see you at church. We Still Like You is produced by Danny Gallegos, Dan Sheehan, Tyler Snodgrass, and J. Michael Osborne, who is also our resident live artist.
The podcast is produced by Jesse Patend, engineered by Jesse Patend and Sam Haas. Our theme song is Specific People by Jake Tobin. Big thanks to all the people who've housed our live shows at various undisclosed locations around Chicago, and to you, the listener, for being there.
If you'd like to know more about where you can watch We Still Like You or submit to be on We Still Like You, please check out our website, which is westilllikeyou.com, and also you can find us on Facebook.
We'll see you next month.